Lights, camera, action. Welcome to the Scrapbook Podcast, Director's Cut. And welcome back to the Scrapbook Podcast, Director's Cut. This is your host, Jody Pratt, with my fellow special guest,
Sunflower.
Yeah, there we go. That's that energy, baby. Okay, I have a story for you. It was a quick one because we made it up like a couple hours ago. I mean, technically.
It was definitely yesterday.
Yeah. However you want to spin that. So we'll open up in a hotel. And it's a nice hotel. I want to say like Embassy Suites, but African. You know what I mean? So it's like Embassy Suites. Right? So we have Embassy Suites. And I wanted to open up there, right? Mm-hmm. And then we have like an older man walking in there with how many suitcases? 1, 2.
I would say one in like a smaller bag.
Yeah, smaller
and a smaller bag.
Yeah, just like a hand carry on, and then like a roll on. You know what I mean? A roller.
Yeah.
And he walks in there, and there's like the help or whatever, like right behind him. If you need anything, we have this and that, amenities, this and this and this. And he's telling him, he's like, okay, yeah, great. I appreciate you. And then he like tips him, like heavily tips him. You know what I mean? And he puts everything in there, closes the door, and he takes a deep breath in and out. And then it fades to black. And it opens back up. And it's him days later. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I want to say like 2 weeks later.
Okay.
And he's like having the fucking time of his life.
Accumulated way more things.
Way more things, bro. There's shit everywhere. You know what I mean? Like, it's the first time he ever drank. You know what I mean? He's walking back up there, and he's walking back in with this super fine woman. Mm-hmm. Like, and her name is Miss Leah, right? So our protagonist, his name is George Capel, right? He's about 64 years old. I want to say 6 foot tall, maybe 5'11". All gray hair. He's bald. He's balding, I should say. He got the baldy popping. And thick dad mustache. Has no kids, though. A bit frail. You know what I mean? Unsure of his steps.
But not weak, though.
But not weak. Not weak, but you know what I mean?
Yeah. Old.
Just old. You know what I mean? So, and this woman that he's with, Miss Leah, she's vivacious as fuck. Like, super gorgeous. You know what I mean? Got a couple, dark blemishes here and there, or whatever the fuck. Got nice hazel eyes, darker skinned woman. So she pops even more.
Yeah.
Has thick, curly hair. You know what I mean? He, as well, she's wearing like high heels and like what's it called? A one of those mini.
A bodycon dress?
Yeah, bodycon dress. There you go. I wasn't going to say that, but that's...
Well, if you're probably thinking tube dress.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I was
strapless dress, yeah.
Yeah, so big old titties. not hella ass, but like, you know what I mean? I jog often. And she closed the door behind him and stuff like that. And they're like dancing and, dancing to the music that they were dancing to outside. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Keeping it up. And he just like, you know what I mean? And he's like a hell off beat. And she's like, grabbing on him and shit like that. And he's like kind of like pushing her hand off, and she goes in like for a kiss, and he like backs up. He's like, "Oh, can I?" You know what I mean? Do you want to keep the party going? Do you want to drink or anything like that? Because I'm gonna have one. And she's just like, "Yeah, sure." And he's like, "I'm gonna mix up this and that." He's up there, and he's like searching on the radio for something, and then he doesn't find anything. Turns on the TV or something, background noise. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he's like, I want to, I want to get to know you a little bit better. And she's like, oh, that's fine. My name is, Miss Leah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? Telling her about herself and stuff like that. I go to this college and this like that. And he's just like, how should I go about this? You don't have to like lie to me. You know what I'm saying?
Like, no, what's your real name?
Like, what's your real name? And then she sticks with Leah.
Yeah.
That's it. Leah's my name. And then George is just like how much? Mm-hmm. And usually George is a subdued person. He works for a gently used furniture store. He's been working there for 40 years. He hasn't never spoken out of turn. Like literally, we'll get to some parts a little bit later. So, and then she's like, what do you mean? He's like, you know what I mean? What's your rate? And then she's like, that she says her rate like per hour. And he's like, okay, that, you know what I mean? That's fine with me.
Yeah.
I want to tell you a little bit about myself. And he tells like his life story. The gently used furniture store. He's not very outgoing. He's never been outside of the country. You know what I mean? He's from Canada, Quebec, and he's come here because he has nobody else. The only woman he ever loved was like taken from him when he was like 25.
Yeah, under the same circumstances as his outgoingness.
Yeah, exactly.
Or lack thereof.
Or lack thereof. She was taken from him. You know what I mean? He didn't fight for her. He just kind of let her slip through his fingers. And he's always regretted that, as well as he's toiled away his life for not. You know what I mean? Every opportunity he had, he just squandered everything. You know what I mean? But what he was good at and always was good at was selling furniture.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's a good fucking salesman. But he's not a pushy guy. He kind of just leaves you at that. Maybe that's not the only thing he's good at. Maybe saving money or some shit like that.
Well, saving money, he's good at talking, which is why he can sell the furniture as well as he does. So he's good at
talking. Yeah.
He might not be outgoing, but he can talk you into buying this dresser right here.
Exactly, but it's like it's pitiful. You kind of feel sorry for the guy. You're kind of like, I mean, I guess, bro. You know what I mean? You look down on your luck, my boy. So they're talking and shit like that, and he's like, I've only gotten, and he's like boozed up now. He takes another drink. I've only gotten 6 bonuses. In 40 years of my whole life, somebody thought hey, Georgie, you deserve a fucking bonus, man. I would drive a fucking 1995 Honda Civic. When I close the door, the belt buckle goes over my chest. You know what I mean? And she's just like, okay. You know what I mean? Like, well, let's get to it so I can, keep making money.
Yeah.
And he's just like, well, goes through his whole life, and she's like, she's listening, but she's like she pities this guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You always see white foreigners come over here for sex, and I'll get to the place later. But, and the reason why he chose this place. So she's like, all right, that's fine. And then she brings up, then why are you here if you're not? And he's like, I just closed my eyes and like at my desk one day, I just closed my eyes and put my finger on the map of the world, and I told myself I'll go there. Then I had to have my manager, who's 30 years old, buy the actual ticket for me because I was too afraid to make a decision. I've been living at the same apartment complex for 35 years, and I only moved into that apartment complex because I was living with my parents, but my parents died of carbon monoxide poisoning.
Jeez.
Just paid like, damn, bro. Oh, you was out in the motherfucker. And he was like, I don't have any pets because I'm allergic. I don't have any fish or anything because I'm afraid to catch pneumonia from the water being in the air. And he's just like, oh, you're cautious. Like,
yeah, you're scared of life.
Yeah, scared of life. And then he chose this, right? And he chose, the country that he chose on the map was Ethiopia. And over the last 2 weeks, he's had the time of his life, and he expresses that to Leah. And I've seen so many, like, beautiful people. Like, I can't believe that I've never experienced this culture. You know what I mean? And my dream was always to step outside of, who I am. And I finally did it. But now I feel like I have nothing else to live for, really.
Yeah.
And she's just like, kind of frowns, like, damn, bro. Like, he changed the subject quick. So, like, what are your dreams? Like, what do you want to do? I know you don't want to do this. Forever? How old are you? And she's like, I'm 32. And it's kind of silly, but you know what I mean? I want to, go to school. He's like, no, what do you really want to do? And she's like, I want to live in France. That's what I want. I was raised by my dad, and he was French. And he's originally from Ethiopia. He moved to France and shit like that, and came back to Ethiopia with my mom. And all he would do is speak French to me until, you know what I mean, he died when I was like 11. And then I tried to find people to speak French with, and that was my goal. I was going to shoot for that. But like in this certain town, not all over Ethiopia, but this certain town I couldn't get out of. So I had to resort to different things to make money and shit like that. And that's how I found myself here. And that's my dream. I want to go to Ethiopia. And then he just starts to start bopping. That's what I want to hear. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, what would you do to make your dreams come true? What would you do? Would you give up everything that you have here to just go? And she's like, yes, that's my dream. Mm-hmm. That's what I want. I even have a little jar in my kitchen that I put in, extra change every day for me and my, me and my son to go. He said, you have a son? He's like, yes, I do. How old is he? 14. And he's just like, oh, that's beautiful. I don't have any kids of my own. That's okay, though. I just wasn't meant to, George says. And that's okay, But I want to give you a chance to fulfill your dreams right here, right now, okay? And she's been propositioned before like that, and she's had to fight for her life quickly after somebody said some crazy ass shit like that. You know what I mean? So she starts eyeing the door a little bit, And he's just like, I want to die here in this country. I don't want to go back to who I was before. Here, I'm Mr. Capel. You know what I mean? The fucking flying Canadian.
Yeah.
That's who I am here. My bones feel better. Like I breathe deeper here. I don't want to go back to who I was. And who I was is a squanderer of life. I wasted 64 years. She's like, why don't you just move here? I can't sustain that. What am I going to do? Sell used furniture in Ethiopia?
Yeah.
If I turn off this show right now and I leave off at the climax of the season, and this is my season finale right now, my series finale right now, I'll be okay with that. That's fine with me. So Leah's just like, ooh, who else is here, nigga? Like, you know, you got to be on your toes. So she's like, oh, that's visibly uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And so he's like, no, relax. I can feel your energy. You know, it's just that I've never had a woman as beautiful as you, and I would love for that to be the last thing I see, is a beautiful woman. Mm-hmm. So there's many other people outside that can, whatever you are into, that can, she's like, no, I want you. That's who I want. Yeah. I purposely came up to you in the bar. I purposely, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's you. She's like, so what do you want exactly? And he was like, I want you to assist in my suicide. And so, like, her handbag, she, like, clutches that shit, knowing that her pepper spray's in there. She can handle all this shit right now.
Yeah.
And he reverts again to, what would you do to make your dreams come true? Would you fulfill my dream and dine in this beautiful land? The literal beginning of life. Would you help me in my life here? So she, she's like, well, like, what exactly? You know, and he's like, well, I want to take a shower. I have a nice suit that I bought, the very first day I was here. So my eyes were always on that, my goal. And tonight's my last night here. And I'm going to dress in my suit. I want you to zip tie my hands behind my back. Before that, I'm going to drink this wonderful cocktail that I have, and as well as take all these pills. And whenever I'm fading off into sleep, I want you to put the pillow over my face. Just so, you know what I mean? There's no cameras here or anything like that. I'm not, no April Fool's shit. And then I want you to go over there, because she's standing now against the door of the hotel. Mm-hmm. Before they were standing, in front of the TV. Now she's standing by the door. I want you to go over there and open that bag. I'm not even, you know what I mean? This is not a joke or anything like that. And she goes, reluctantly, she goes over there, opens the bag, and it's like 45 racks. You can make you and your son's dream come true. Like I said, I'm not playing. This is not a joke or anything like that. This is what I want. And I want to have lain with a beautiful woman. Not sex, but literal, the physical being next to a beautiful woman in a passionate act. That's what I want.
Yeah, intimacy.
Yeah. And she opens it up, and it's the 45 racks, like I just said. And she's staring at it. She's never seen this much fucking money in her life. And she's like, what do I have to do again? And then it cuts the face to black, opens up him in the shower. And he's like super faded, just, washing his fucking hair and shit like that. Brushing his teeth in the shower and shit. And she's now contemplating on grabbing that money and getting the fuck out of there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I don't know if George should like threaten her. No, I feel like that's a little too strong. That's out of his character anyway.
Yeah.
But maybe he like distracts her from that notion by speaking French because he is from Quebec, Canada, and he starts to speak French to her, and she's not shocked because he is Canadian, but he, you know what I mean.
It wasn't brought up before.
Exactly, it wasn't brought up before. Exactly. So he's like, parlez-vous français? And then she like starts to speak to it back like loudly, hella grammatical errors, hella fucking,
Yeah.
But she's speaking back, and he's like laughing, this deep old nigga laugh. You know what I mean? Just like ha ha ha. This is what that was kind of Brazilian, but yeah. And he like gets out of the shower, and she like attacks him with like kisses and like, you know what I mean? Passion. And for a second he feeds into that, but he like breaks away from that. He's like, that's not what I want. You know what I mean? She's like, this must be another way I could earn this money other than, you know what I mean, what you want to do. He's like, there's not. If it's not you, it's going to be somebody else that I make their dreams come true. So, and she's just like, like breaks away from him and like in a sexy way dances to the edge of the bed and like, gets on all fours type of thing.
Yeah. And
on her back, and then like finger waves him in. And like he like completely turns his back to her, starts cleaning out his ears with the free towel that he has. He has a towel wrapped around his waist, by the way. And he starts to put on his suit and shit. And he has a nice tie, not a clip on. He puts that shit on, and she's there just watching him. And on the side of his bag, he's like, George is like, can you grab the zip tie right there? I have a couple if you don't get it right. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
And then he starts, puts his hands behind his back or whatever the fuck. She zip ties it. And actually, before that, he puts on his suit, takes the pills. Right?
I was just going to say, yeah.
Yeah, takes the pills and then zip ties his hands behind his back. He lays on the bed, but his feet are planted. You know what I mean? He's on the edge of the bed, so his feet are planted. From his the back of his knees to the top of his head are on the bed.
Yeah, he sat down and then leaned back.
Exactly. Sat down and leaned back. And she's like, what's stopping me now from just leaving? He's subdued. He can just OD here.
Yeah.
And I can just leave with this money. Right? And so he's like slowly like singing like some old song that his mom used to sing to him. And he's like in tears. Just hardly getting through. His voice is cracking. And he's singing in French, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
And he lays back and his eyes are just slowly like fluttering. He's blinking slowly. And she grabs the pillow and straddles him and just stands there looking at him, and they like make eye contact.
Mm-hmm.
And then the camera would pull out from there, and the door would close, and then it would just show just the front of the door, right?
Yeah.
And then it will cut to her walking into her apartment with her son, like bopping to fucking some sort of like fusion French jazz and shit like that. And for her son became that conduit of French life she wanted to live in. He's been bullied, made fun of, because she tries to follow French trends and shit like that and dress him up as such. And you know what I mean? Her French is only bad because she taught a little kid that, and that's elementary.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's her. She has elementary fucking French.
Yeah.
And he's like, Mom, you know what I mean? Start to speak to her in French, and then she's like speaking English. Grab your fucking bags. He's like, why? Like, are we moving again? Like what's going on? Like, is somebody like following you again? And she's like, no. Like, where does mommy want to go the most? And she was like, to France. And she's like, where do you want to go the most? He was like, the same, France. We're going to France, baby. And she's like, well, he just stuck as fuck because he's like, that's been a promise since I was like a tiny ass kid. What are you talking about?
We're working towards it.
Exactly. I've been selling apples, nigga. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And while he's stuck there, she's zooming past him, packing up shit, grabbing the jar of change, like looking at what to do with it. She puts it in the suitcase, but then she takes it out of the suitcase. Then she just dumps all the money out with all the change and shit, and just packs more clothes on top of that. And he's like, how? Like, she's like, don't ask any questions. Just know that we're gone. She's like, but what about everything else? And it's a hoarded apartment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Flat, 1 bedroom, open floor. You know what I mean? And I want the camera or the view that we see be stationary. So you see the door open and her walk in, and it's just all open, and it's just chaos all around.
Organized chaos.
Exactly. Them like running around, them doing all this shit, blah blah blah, and they're packing up, and she's like, "We have a flight to," you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's leaving in an hour. Like, let's go. He's like, okay, and packs up all the shit. And without even looking back, she leaves the door like slightly open, and they just leave. And then I want there to be a sort of it's not a satisfactory satisfaction in ending, satisfactory ending.
Mm-hmm.
Because we don't know exactly what happens.
Right.
We don't know if she just left while he was like ODing, then called somebody. We don't
Anonymously,
know.
like,
Exactly.
yeah.
We don't know if she, killed him. We don't know if, you know what I mean? She just took the money and ran.
Or he changed his mind.
Exactly. And pleaded. We don't know.
Yeah.
So I want that to be like the open ending. But at the same time, I want the notion throughout the dialogue to be like, what would you do to accomplish your dreams? Would you help somebody else accomplish theirs? Or would you be selfish and keep it all to yourself?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's going to be called Ethiopian Delight. How you like that?
It's a lot. Yeah. As it not in a bad way, but it's.
I mean, I don't care if it's in a bad way.
No, I know that, but I'm saying it's a lot just based on the fact that there's a lot of feeling behind it because of the intimacy that they share, and how brief all of this is technically.
Yeah.
But it's stretched out into like an hour and a half movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. Hopefully, like really, like 80 minutes or so.
Regardless, it's longer than their short brief like 2 hour 3 hour tiff that they've had, so it happening all in this one room. There's a lot of shit, there's a lot of emotion that goes into it, and that's like it's a big part of it being successful.
Mm-hmm.
Like it makes sense. I don't think there is any gray areas at all. Other than the ending, because that's up to your own interpretation. But
one thing for sure, two things for certain, is that her dream came true.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And she comes in with that briefcase, or not briefcase, that bag that he had full of money. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? American currency, by the way. But yeah. Anything I should change?
No. I don't think there's anything really to change.
Solid draft, you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Boom Pow, How You Like Me Now. This was Ethiopia Delight. The Scrapbook Podcast Director's Cut. I am Jody Pratt with my fellow guest, fellow host, Sunflower. We are the Scrapbook Podcast on everything. We got a website coming out soon. We got merchandise coming out soon. We got all this different shit. Thank you so much. We love you. Don't stop being creative. Peace.
Bye.